The mining station Hengbach floated in the cold darkness of the asteroid belt. It was an ugly thing made of metal and hope. 300 workers lived inside its walls. They dug rocks from space and sent them back to Earth. It was boring work. Nothing exciting ever happened there until the night Yuna heard the signal. She was 24 years old. She had black hair tied in a simple ponytail and tired eyes from staring at screens all day. Her job was to listen to space. Most days, she heard nothing but static and the hum of distant stars. But tonight was different. A pattern appeared on her screen. It repeated again and again. The frequency was strange. It did not match anything in human records. Yuna sat up straight in her chair. Her heart began to beat faster. She ran the signal through every computer program she had. The result was always the same. This was not natural. Something had made this signal on purpose. Something intelligent. Yuna picked up her communicator with shaking hands. She called Station Commander Taiho. Taiho was 51 years old. He had gray hair and a face full of old scars from the Mars colonial wars. He had seen blood and death. He had lost friends in battle. Nothing surprised him anymore. But when he heard what Yuna had found, even he felt a chill run down his spine. He stood behind her chair and watched the signal repeat on the screen. His eyes were hard and focused. "Have you decoded any of it?" he asked. Yuna nodded slowly. "One phrase. It keeps repeating." She pointed at the translation on her screen. The words glowed in pale blue light. Cataloged species detected. Harvest imminent. Taiho read the words 3 times. His jaw tightened. He understood what this meant. Something out there had found humanity, and that something did not come in peace. Within 1 hour, Taiho sent an emergency message to Earth. Within 6 hours, the United Earth Coalition held a secret meeting. Within 12 hours, they made a decision. They would send the Bidu. The Bidu was not just a ship. It was a monster made of metal and fire. It stretched for 0.7 kilometers from front to back. Its hull was painted black like the space around it. Railguns lined its sides like teeth. Missile bays hid beneath its armor. And deep in its spine sat the Shinwa cannon, a weapon so powerful it could crack a planet in half. Humanity had built the Baekdu because they were afraid. They looked at the stars and wondered what might be looking back. They remembered their own history, full of war and conquest. They knew that if aliens existed, they might not be friendly. So they built a ship that could fight gods. Admiral Junho was the man chosen to command her. He was 45 years old. He had a calm face and quiet voice. He never shouted. He never panicked. When other men saw chaos, Junho saw patterns. When other men felt fear, Junho felt focus. The coalition trusted him with their greatest weapon because they knew he would use it wisely. Junho walked through the corridors of the Baekdu as his crew prepared for departure. He passed hundreds of soldiers, engineers, and officers. They saluted him as he walked. He nodded back at each one. He reached the bridge and sat in the command chair. Around him stood his most trusted officers. Chief Tactical Officer Minho stood at the weapons console. He was a large man with strong arms and a sharp mind. He could calculate firing solutions faster than most computers. He loved the Baekdu the way a painter loves his brush. Chief Engineer Hannah stood near the engine displays. She was small and thin, but her brain held more knowledge than most libraries. She had helped design the Baekdu's power core. She knew every wire and pipe inside the ship like a mother knows her child. First Lieutenant Jiho stood at Junho's right side. He was young, only 32, but his eyes held wisdom beyond his years. Junho saw great potential in him. One day Jiho would command his own ship. "Admiral," said Minho, "all weapons are online. We are ready. Engines at full capacity," added Hannah. "Warp drive is charged." Junho looked at the main screen. Stars filled the darkness ahead. Somewhere out there, something waited for them. Something that thought humanity was prey. He opened a channel to the entire ship. His voice was calm and steady. This is Admiral Junho. Today we answer a signal from the unknown. We do not know what we will find. We do not know if we will return. But I know this. We are the children of Earth. We have survived ice ages and plagues. We have survived wars and disasters. We have crawled from caves to build cities that touch the clouds. We did not come this far to become someone's harvest. The ship was silent. Every soul aboard listened. We go now to show the galaxy what humanity is made of. Not because we seek war, but because we will never accept chains. Hold your heads high. You are the crew of the BIDU, and the bike dude does not kneel. The crew cheered. The sound echoed through the metal halls like thunder. JUNHO turned to his helmsman. Take us to the signal's origin. Maximum warp. The Bekdu's engines roared to life. Space bent and twisted around the massive ship. In a flash of light, it vanished from the asteroid belt. Back on Station Hengbok, Yuna watched the ship disappear on her screen. She whispered a small prayer for the crew. She did not know if any god was listening, but she hoped that somewhere in the vast darkness, the universe would protect those brave enough to face it. The BIDU raced toward the unknown, and humanity's first contact was about to begin. The Veltari Assembly was the largest space station in the known galaxy. It hung in orbit around a dying red star, a ring of metal and glass that stretched for hundreds of kilometers. Inside its walls, 47 different species worked together to govern the stars. They called themselves the Galactic Council. They had ruled this region of space for 12,000 years. They thought they had seen everything. They were wrong. Counselor Mira stood in the observation room when the alarms began to scream. She was a Scythe, a species known for their tall, thin bodies and pale blue skin. Her people could sense emotions and thoughts. They were peaceful. They believed in diplomacy and understanding. Mira had served on the council for 60 years. She had helped end wars and build alliances. She thought nothing could surprise her anymore. Then the human ship appeared. It came out of warp space, like a beast rising from the deep ocean. The BIDU was so large that the station's sensors could not process it at first. They thought it was an error. They thought it was an asteroid. But then the ship moved, and everyone understood. Myra felt her heart stop. She had two of them, and both went silent for a moment. The largest warship in the Council fleet was 600 meters long. The Karath, the most warlike species in the Council, had ships of 400 meters. These were considered terrifying weapons of destruction. The human ship was 4.7 kilometers long. It made everything else look like toys. Mira rushed to the main council chamber. Inside, chaos had already begun. The Korath representative, Cade, a creature that looked like a giant insect with armored plates and sharp claws, was screaming for war. Destroy them now, it demanded, before they destroy us. The Aloni representative, a being made of living crystal that glowed with soft light, urged calm. We do not know their intentions. We must speak first. 45 other species argued and shouted. Some wanted to attack. Some wanted to flee. Some wanted to hide and hope the humans went away. High Chancellor Draven watched it all with cold eyes. He was a Vorathi, a species of tall reptiles with green scales and powerful tails. The Vorathi were the strongest species in the council. They had held the position of High Chancellor for 3,000 years. Draven did not like surprises, and he did not like anyone who might challenge his power. He raised his clawed hand. The chamber fell silent. I will speak to them, he said. His voice was deep and rough, like grinding stone. I will remind them of their place. He opened a communication channel to the human ship. His image appeared on the Bekdu's main screen. Admiral Junho looked at the alien with calm eyes. He did not flinch. He did not show fear. Am High Chancellor Draven of the Galactic Council, the reptile said. You have entered our space without permission. You will explain yourself, and you will submit to our authority, as all young species must. Gunho remained seated in his command chair. His voice was steady and polite, but there was steel beneath the words. I am Admiral Junho of the United Earth Coalition. We received a signal from this location. It spoke of harvest It spoke of our species being catalogued. I am here to ask one simple question. Do you intend to harm humanity? Draven laughed. It was a harsh, ugly sound. Little creature, you do not ask questions. You answer them. The Council has ruled these stars for 12,000 years. Countless species have come before you. All of them learned to obey. You will learn to. Junho tilted his head slightly. And if we refuse? Draven leaned forward. His eyes burned with anger. Then we will teach you, painfully. The bridge of the Baekdu was silent. Minho's hand rested on the weapons console. Hannah watched the engine readings. Jiho stood ready to give orders. Gonho smiled. It was a small smile, but it carried the weight of human history. Every war humanity had ever fought, every time they had refused to surrender, every moment they had chosen death over slavery. He pressed a button on his chair. His voice broadcast to every ship in the system, to every study, on to every listening ear in the galaxy. This is Admiral Junho of Earth. We came here seeking answers. We received threats instead. So let me make something very clear. He stood up from his chair. His eyes locked onto Draven's image. Humanity does not submit. We do not kneel. We do not beg. We negotiate as equals, or we fight as enemies. Those are your only choices. Make your decision carefully, Chancellor. Because if you choose war, you will learn why we built ships like the Baekdu. He cut the transmission. In the council chamber, silence filled the air like smoke. The Korath looked ready to attack. The Eloni looked ready to run. And Counselor Mira felt something she had never sensed from any species in 60 years of diplomacy. The humans were not bluffing. They were not afraid. They genuinely believed they could fight the entire galaxy and win. She did not know if that was courage or madness, but she knew one thing for certain. The universe had just changed forever. The argument in the council chamber lasted for hours. Species shouted at each other. Old grudges came to the surface. The Korath demanded human blood. The Eloni begged for peace. High Chancellor Draven sat in his throne and plotted ways to crush the arrogant newcomers. Then the sky tore open. A massive warp rupture appeared near the assembly. It was like a wound in space itself, bleeding light and energy. Through that wound came ships, 40 of them. They were long and sharp, painted black with crimson marks on their hulls. They moved like predators hunting prey. The Ravik had arrived. Counselor Myra felt terror flood through her mind. Not her own terror, but the terror of everyone around her. The Ravik were the nightmare of the galaxy. They existed outside council law. They roamed from system to system, taking what they wanted. Slaves, resources, technology, entire species had vanished after Ravik visits. No one could stop them. No one dared to try. The Ravak flagship transmitted a message. Warlord Turek appeared on every screen in the assembly. He was a massive creature, 8 feet tall, with gray skin covered in scars. His eyes were small and cruel. His mouth was full of sharp teeth that he showed when he smiled. "I am Torek," he said. "I heard you found a new species. Young, weak, fresh. I want them. Give me the humans, and I will leave your station standing. Refuse, and I will burn everything." The council chamber erupted in panic. Representatives scrambled to escape. Guards ran for their ships. In 60 seconds, the mighty Galactic Council collapsed into a mob of frightened creatures. Only Mira stayed calm enough to watch what happened next. On the BC-2, Admiral Junho listened to Torek's demand. His face showed no emotion. He turned to his crew. "How many ships?" he asked. 40, said Minho. "All cruiser class. Heavy weapons. Strong shields. Can we take them?" Minho smiled. It was not a kind smile. "Admiral, we can take them apart." Junho nodded. He opened a channel to the Ravik flagship. "Warlord Torek, I am Admiral Junho. Humanity declines your offer. If you want us, come and get us." Torek laughed so hard his whole body shook. One ship. You challenge me with one ship? Human, you are either very brave or very stupid. Either way, you will die screaming. He ended the transmission. His fleet began to advance. Jono gave his orders with perfect calm. Minho, activate all weapon systems. Hannah pushed the engines to 110%. Jiho launched the drone swarms. Today we show the galaxy what humanity can do. The Bidu moved forward. One ship against 40. It should have been suicide. It should have been the fastest defeat in history. It was neither. The railguns fired first. Massive metal slugs accelerated to incredible speeds and slammed into Ravik holes. The enemy shields flickered and failed. Holes appeared in their armor. Air and bodies spilled into the vacuum of space. The Ravik fired back. Plasma bolts and missiles streaked toward the Bidu. Most were shot down by automated defense systems. The few that hit barely scratched the human ship's thick armor. Minho guided each shot with deadly precision. He targeted engines, weapons, and bridges. He did not waste a single round. In 3 minutes, 8 Ravik ships were dead or dying. The drone swarms came next. Thousands of small machines poured from the Bidu's bays. They moved like angry insects, swarming over Ravik ships. They attached to holes and cut through metal. They crawled inside engines and destroyed them from within. 5 more ships went dark. Torik's voice screamed across the communication channels. All ships, attack. Ram them if you must. Destroy that monster. For Ravik cruisers changed course. They aimed directly at the Bidu, their engines burning at maximum power. They planned to crash into the human ship and explode. A suicide attack born of desperation. Junho watched them come. His voice remained steady. Minho, the Shinhwa cannon. Yes, sir. Deep in the Bidu's spine, the greatest weapon ever built by human hands came to life. Power from the ship's core flooded into the cannon. Magnetic fields aligned. Particles accelerated to nearly the speed of light, and then the cannon fired. A beam of pure white energy shot from the Bidu's bow. It crossed the distance between ships in an instant. It hit the first ramming cruiser and passed straight through. Then the second, then the third, then the fourth. All 4 ships vanished. They did not explode. They simply stopped existing. The beam turned metal bodies and machines into superheated plasma that scattered into the void. The remaining Ravik ships stopped advancing. For a long moment, nothing moved. Minho's voice broke the silence. Admiral, 14 enemy ships remaining. 9 are attempting to retreat. 5 are too damaged to move. Let them run, said Junho. They will tell others what happened here today. The battle had lasted 19 minutes. Humanity had destroyed 31 Ravik ships. The Bidu had suffered only minor damage to its outer hull. In the council chamber, Myra watched the surviving Ravik flee into warp space. Around her, the other representatives slowly emerged from hiding. They stared at the screens showing the human ship floating among the wreckage of the Ravik fleet. No one spoke. No one knew what to say. The galaxy had just discovered something terrifying and wonderful at the same time. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was the hunter. The wreckage of the Ravik fleet drifted through space like bones in a graveyard. Rescue ships from the assembly moved carefully among the debris, searching for survivors. They found very few. The humans had been thorough. Counselor Myra stood in her private quarters and stared out the window at the Bidu. The massive ship hung motionless in the darkness, waiting, patient, dangerous. She made a decision. She had to speak with the human admiral. Not as a council member, but as someone seeking truth. Her shuttle crossed the distance between the station and the warship. When she approached, the humans did not fire. They allowed her to dock. Guards in heavy armor escorted her through long corridors. She saw human soldiers everywhere. They looked young and determined. They looked at her with curiosity, not hatred. Admiral Junho met her in a conference room. He stood as she entered and offered her a chair. His manners were formal and polite. Mira had expected a savage warrior. Instead, She found a thoughtful man with tired eyes. "You saved us," she said. "You did not have to. We threatened you. We treated you as inferior. Why did you fight for us?" Junho sat across from her. He folded his hands on the table, because those raiders were here to hurt people. We could stop them. So we did. That is what humans do, counselor. We protect. Even those who do not ask for protection. Mira felt his emotions. Honesty, weariness, a deep sense of duty. No lies hid beneath his words. "I must tell you something," she said. "The harvest signal you received, it was not sent by the Ravak." Juno's eyes narrowed. "Then who sent it?" Mira looked down at her hands. Shame colored her thoughts. "The Council. It is an old system created thousands of years ago. When we detect a new species, we tag them. We observe them. Eventually we make contact and offer them a choice. Join the Council under our rules or face consequences." "Integration," said Junho. "We're going to study us like animals. Decide if we were useful. And if we refused your terms, the Korath would have been sent. Or the Varathi. Your world would have been conquered. Your people scattered and controlled." Silence filled the room. Junho's face remained calm, but Mira sensed the anger burning beneath his surface. Cold anger. Controlled anger. The most dangerous kind? "Thank you for telling me the truth," he said finally. "I assume not everyone on the Council supported this system. Many of us hate it. The younger species, especially. But the Varathi and Korath controlled too many votes. Change has been impossible." Junho nodded slowly. "Perhaps that is about to change." 2 hours later, Admiral Junho stood before the full Galactic Council. 47 species watched him from their seats. Some looked frightened. Some looked angry. Some looked curious. High Chancellor Draven sat on his throne, his reptilian eyes cold and hostile. "You have no right to address this body," Draven said. "You are not a member species." "Then make me one," Junho replied simply. "I request formal recognition of humanity as an equal member of this council." "Equal? You have one ship, one world. You are infants in the cosmic order. You should be grateful we do not destroy you." "You could try," said Junho, "but I think you have seen what happens when you threaten humans." The chamber fell silent. Everyone remembered the Ravik fleet. Everyone remembered the 19-minute battle. Everyone remembered the Shinwa cannon. Junho stepped forward. His voice carried to every corner of the room. "I know what you planned for us. The harvest signal. The integration. You were going to decide our fate without asking us. You thought we were prey." He paused, letting the words sink in. "You were wrong." He looked at each species in turn. The armored Korath, the crystalline Aloni, the tall Varathi, the pale Silathi, and dozens of others he did not yet have names for. Humanity's young. We have only traveled among the stars for a few centuries. We do not have ancient wisdom or thousand-year traditions. But we have something else. We have fire. He touched his chest. Every human carries fire inside them. It drove us out of caves. It drove us across oceans. It drove us into the sky. We do not give up. We do not surrender. We do not accept someone else deciding our destiny. He raised his voice now. Not shouting, but strong and clear. You sent a signal calling us prey. When real predators came, you could not defend yourselves. We defended you. We asked for nothing in return. That is who we are. We do not conquer. We do not enslave. We protect. He spread his arms wide. I offer humanity's friendship to any species that wants it. Trade, defense, partnership together. We can build something better than what exists now. No more harvest signals. No more forced integration. No more strong species bullying weak ones. He lowered his arms and looked directly at Draven. But understand this. If you threaten Earth, if you try to harm our people, if you send fleets against us, you will learn exactly why we built ships, like the Bike do. Not because we love war, but because we learned long ago that the universe does not protect the weak, so we became strong. strong enough to protect ourselves, and strong enough to protect others. He stopped speaking. The chamber was absolutely silent. Counselor Myra stood up. I move to accept humanity as an equal member of the Galactic Council. The Alani representative stood next. The Aloni seconded the motion. One by one, species began to vote. The younger races voted yes almost immediately. The older races hesitated. Draven glared at everyone, but he did not speak. When the votes were counted, 29 species had voted to accept humanity. 18 had abstained, including the Varathian Korath. The motion passed. Admiral Junho allowed himself a small smile. He bowed slightly to the council. Thank you. Humanity will not disappoint you. As he walked out of the chamber, Mira caught his arm. Do you really believe he can change things? She asked. Junho looked back at the council. Politicians, warriors, diplomats. Some would become friends. Some would become enemies. But all of them would remember this day. We already have, he said. 3 months passed after humanity joined the Galactic Council. In those 3 months, everything changed. Earth received its first alien visitors. Ilani traders came with crystals that could store enough energy to power cities. Salethi teachers came with meditation techniques that could calm troubled minds. A dozen other species sent ambassadors, scientists, and artists. For the first time in history, humans shook hands with beings from distant stars, near the orbit of Jupiter. Chief Engineer Hannah supervised the construction of humanity's first warp gate. It was a massive ring of metal and energy, a doorway to the wider galaxy. When it activated, ships could travel in minutes, what used to take years. Trade would flow. Ideas would spread. The universe would become smaller. Hannah stood on the observation deck of a construction station and watched robotic arms assemble the gate piece by piece. She had not slept properly in weeks, but she smiled. This was her greatest work. Tired? Asked a voice behind her. She turned to see First Lieutenant Geo walking toward her. He wore a new uniform now. Captain's stripes decorated his shoulders. The second Titan-class warship, the Hallison, was nearly complete. Jiho would be its commander. Always tired, she said, but happy. Look at it, Jiho. A doorway to 1,000,000 worlds. Jiho stood beside her and watched the construction. Dunho used to tell me that humans build things. Other species conquer, we build. I never understood what he meant until now. Back on Earth, cities celebrated and debated in equal measure. Some people feared the aliens. They wanted humanity to stay isolated, to close the gates and hide. But most people felt something different. Hope. Wonder. The knowledge that they were part of something bigger than one small planet. In the capital of the United Earth Coalition. Meetings happened every day. Trade agreements. Technology exchanges. Cultural programs. The work was endless and exhausting and absolutely necessary. But not everyone celebrated humanity's rise in the dark spaces between stars. Warlord Torek gathered his scattered forces. The Revok had lost many ships at Veltari, but they had not lost their hunger. Torek's hatred burned hotter than any star. He had been humiliated. His fleet had been destroyed by a single ship. Every warlord in the Ravik clans laughed at him now. He would make them stop laughing. He would make the whole galaxy stop laughing in secret. Torek sent messages to the Korath and to dissident members of the Vorathi faction. They shared a common enemy. They shared a common goal. The humans had to be destroyed before they became too strong. They began to plan. Not an attack on the Baikadu. That ship was too powerful. Instead, they would strike at Earth itself. A coordinated assault using hidden warp routes. A sudden attack with overwhelming force. By the time the human fleet responded, their homeworld would be burning. Torek smiled as he reviewed the battle plans. Revenge would be sweet. He did not know that Admiral Junho had already anticipated treachery. Back on the BC-Do, Junho sat in his command chair and reviewed intelligence reports. Counselor Mira stood beside him, their unlikely alliance growing stronger every day. The Korath are moving ships to their border stations, Mira said. more than usual, and there are rumors of Ravak activity in the outer sectors. They are planning something, Junho agreed. They cannot accept that we are equals now. They want us weak and controlled. Can you stop them? Junho turned to face her. His eyes were calm but determined. I have already started. The Hallison launches next month. 8 more Titan-class ships are under construction. We are building defense platforms around Earth and Mars. And I have ordered our intelligence services to monitor every suspicious transmission in known space. He stood and walked to the main view screen. Stars filled the darkness ahead. Humanity made a mistake once. We thought we were alone. We were not prepared. We will never make that mistake again. Mira felt his emotions, determination, vigilance, and beneath it all, a deep love for his species and his home. You truly believe you can protect your world against an entire coalition? She asked. Junho smiled faintly. I believe we can protect much more than that. The Alani trust us. The Scythe trusts us. A dozen other species are starting to see that they do not need to fear the Vorathi and Korath anymore. Something new is being born, Counselor. A different kind of alliance. One based on protection, not domination. On Station Hengbak, Yuna received a promotion. She was now lead intelligence analyst for the United Earth Coalition. She had a staff of 50 people and access to more information than she could ever process. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about the signal that had started everything. That strange pattern repeating in the darkness. Catalog species detected. Harvest imminent. The galaxy had sent that message expecting to find prey. Instead, they had found humanity. And humanity had refused to be hunted. Yuna looked at the stars through her window and smiled. The warp gate near, Jupiter activated for the first time on a Tuesday morning. Admiral Junho and Counselor Mira stood together on the bridge of the Baigdu, watching as the first human exploration ships passed through the Ring of Light. Where are they going? Myra asked. Everywhere, Junho replied. We have a galaxy to explore. Friends to make, wonders to discover. Mira tilted her head. And enemies to face. Yes, those two. Junho turned to look at her. Are you ready? She considered the question. A year ago, she had been a politician in a stagnant government, watching the same power struggles repeat for centuries. Now she stood beside an alien admiral, helping to reshape the future of the galaxy. I think I am, she said. Junho nodded. He looked at the view screen one last time. Somewhere out there, Torek was plotting. The Korath were sharpening their claws. The Vorathi were scheming in their cold chambers. Danger waited in the darkness. But humanity had faced danger before. They had faced ice and fire, war and plague, fear and despair. They had survived it all. They had grown stronger from it all, and now they were not alone. Jun spoke softly, mostly to himself. We looked at the stars and refused to be afraid. That is who we are. That is who we will always be. The Baigdu turned toward the warp gate. Its engines hummed with power. Its crew stood ready for whatever came next. The Terran era had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same.